Little merge onto the highway. That's sports mode. Bit better that time. Okay, it's nailing the shifts. It must be adapting. Oh, we're probably going a bit...
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. You found me next to our Vargas car. Now, although this car hasn't been on the channel much, it is being used on the daily. In fact, I think this now gets used more than any other of our vehicles. It's currently got a 91 octane MHD off-the-shelf tune on it, because we're just using it to plot around town, do deliveries, that sort of stuff. We use it, David's other half uses it for postal runs. It's been really good. Just doesn't make boost properly. We have got turbos coming for it, and there will be a full build series on this, hopefully in the next month or two. And we've got plans to get it well over, well, we'd like to see it over 700 wheel horsepower, so more powerful than my car. That's the plan, keep it twin turbo. But while it's sitting here doing nothing, and I've been playing with Wing KFP lately, it dawned on me about the Alpina transmission tune. This car currently has a stock tune on the transmission, and I've been given XHP probably a little bit more love than it might necessarily deserve lately. But to be fair, I do think it was really, really good on my 6AT, and I think it's almost invaluable on the DCT that I'm currently running. But I thought I'd do a bit of a video on the Alpina flash, because if you've got Wing KFP, you can flash this tune for free. And I think if you're DIYing these BMWs, you really should have a laptop set up with Wing KFP on it. So it might be an option for somebody that hasn't quite got the money to spend on a full XHP suite, which I think it's about 400 Australian dollars for XHP now, so it's quite a lot of money. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I've actually got to do a merch run for some stuff that people bought from the 0to60.com store. So I'm going to take this for a bit of a drive, pay a lot of attention to how the standard tune is shifting, and then we'll talk about doing the flash and how the Alpina flash changes the way it drives. All right, let's go for a drive. Okay, so I'm just at local shops. Did about a 10-kilometer drive with the standard auto. I'm kind of hoping, I think it does. I'm looking forward to getting the gear indicator when you're just in normal D mode, which I know obviously XHP activates, but hopefully the Alpina tune will activate it as well. Thoughts on how this gearbox shifts compared to my stage 3 XHP that was in my 17T car. To be honest, light driving, it's very similar. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. I've got a feeling that MHD is doing something with the DME flash to change the way the gearbox reacts on shifts and that sort of stuff. This car does have, I think I mentioned it in the intro, it's only got a 91 octane or 91 RON, whichever one. It's got the lowest fuel quality map you can flash with MHD, but it is an MHD stage 2 tune. So it is the DME is going to be sending different signals to a stock DME to the transmission, or working together anyway. So keep that in mind with this review. But initial thoughts, normal driving is quite nice. I'll do an uphill pull, which is what you'll see next, and you can see how it reacts and how quick the revs pull down and how quickly it bites into the next gear. For a stock trans tune, it feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I don't know how much better Alpina is going to be, but because from what I understand, Alpina is between stock and XHP. Anyway, let's go for a drive. You'll see what it does. Okay, so just in D mode, and this is going to be about quarter throttle uphill when it's safe to do so. That was a shift. Another shift. So, I mean, super smooth shifts. Doesn't really feel like anything's slipping. I'm going to guess it's probably about half a second for the shift to complete, it feels like. This is just all by feel. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Let's do a bit of a wide open throttle merge onto the highway. So that's what it feels like, wide open throttle in D mode, and we'll do another pull in sports mode shortly. So we have another little merge onto the highway. That's sports mode. Revving it out quite a lot for a stock tune. It's hitting 7,000 RPMs. But all in all, pretty slow shifts. Doesn't snap into gear in sports mode. In fact, the shifts in sports mode and D mode are very similar with this stock tune, where with XHP there's a definite difference between sports and D mode.
Anyway, last thing I better do, just to see if it's any different, we will try the manual shifting. Okay, so this is manual shifting. And it shifted on its own. The shifts actually felt slower than sports mode. I'm just gonna leave it there for now. Let's go and get this Alpina flash on there, and then we'll take it for a drive. And you see if it's any different. It's gotta be different. I hate that it auto shifted in sports mode, manual mode. That's one of the catches of the stock flash, I guess. All right, anyway, you'll see us in a sec. Okay, so WinKFP is all set up. I'm just gonna click done. And program. And I just thought I'd film this bit in case we mess it up. The user info field can still be programmed 61 times. That's interesting. Right. Is it going to go through and flash? Didn't throw any errors. The car is doing something. Okay. All right, guys, I'll update you once the flash is done. Just in case anyone wants to do this, I will put a link to the forum post that I use to follow to get all the correct software, all the Alpina software for the transmission. It's super easy to do. Oh, we've got errors. We have errors. Okay, let me have a read through them. Okay, just an update. It's flashing. We got rid of the errors. The errors were caused by the cheap eBay KD-CAN cable. So that's the second time that's been an issue. It wouldn't flash my shifter in my E92. It did flash the SMG in the E46, but it wouldn't flash the transmission in this car. It did flash the DCT transmission, so we're getting some weird intermittent faults with that cheap cable. Anyway, it only took me an hour. I've gone and borrowed an ICOM, and we'll let it go through. Also, way too many people asked me about the power supply I was using when I did my DCT conversion. Long story short, they're just bloody expensive. So I bought this cheap 30 amp charger that I'm going to put through its paces over the next couple of weeks. Might do a review on it because they work out at about quarter of the cost of making the power supply that was being used on my car. So we'll see how we go. They're like 50 bucks. And it's just doing the second section of the flash. Hopefully the camera's picking up, but is it going to complete? Errors. I'm expect the bongs, but will WinKFP complete? Please complete. Please say it's fine. Programming okay. All right, we can close that for now. I'm gonna let the car go to full sleep. Basically just lock the doors for 5 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll see how it's going. I don't know if you need to do that, but I did need to do that when I flashed XHP on my car. So I'm just gonna do the same thing for this. All right, let's power it down. Errors. Light bulb's out again. All right, so we started it. We've still got a bulb out, but let's put it into drive. And yes, we have the D1 up on the display now. All right, I'm gonna take a bit of a drive. I assume like XHP, it takes a little bit of a while to adapt, but I'll update you guys with some shifting pattern differences and my thoughts shortly. Okay, so I've just been driving it, I've been driving it in the way that you would drive them when you do a gearbox adaptation reset. So basically going up and down through the gears, starting from a standstill, accelerating away in sports mode and different speeds. So although I haven't done many kilometers, I've put the gearbox through a lot of work. Anyway, I'm just gonna show you a light acceleration in D mode because it is going through the gears really, really quickly. I think it's shifting into 6th gear at about 65 kilometers an hour. Anyway, we'll show you. I'll show you as soon as it's safe to do so. Okay, braking the traffic. 3rd, 4th, 5th. There's 6th, just over 60. So it doesn't feel too bad. Like the car doesn't vibrate or do anything weird, but that seems like it's getting into top gear maybe a little bit too soon. Downshifts are quite nice. Does blip the throttle a little bit. So yeah, it's a bit eager to go through the gears in D mode, but it might take a little bit of driving to get used to that. It doesn't feel like a problem. Like in the DCT and in my car, it really loaded things up and you get a vibration when it was short shifting. I don't feel too bad in this car, but this car It does just genuinely feel quite nice. All right, let's do the same in sports mode. That was a much higher RPM. But it goes through the gears quite nicely. It is changing gear quicker than it did before, but I feel like this gearbox might need some solenoids or something. We'll just pull over and we'll try a flat out sports mode acceleration, I think, as we're losing daylight. All right. Gonna get to this on-ramp. Okay, so sports mode, automatic shifting. I'm just basically gonna just wind on him first and then end up going flat out. And pinned. It revved past 7,000. Short shifted, second to third. And I couldn't keep accelerating, that was fast enough. Let's just try that again, because it revs harder. Better that time. Okay, it's nailing the shifts. It must be adapting. Oh, we're probably going a bit quick for the on-ramp. Private road. So I just thought I'd film sort of mid to 3/4 throttle, but short shifting. That seems much better than it was before. Much, much better. I'll do that again. Yeah, that feels... the gearbox is biting much better than it was before. Guys, we're going to show you a little bit of an acceleration and then deceleration. Oh God, wasn't expecting that. Don't film and drive at the same time, people. Anyway, and downshift. It is rev matching on the downshifts. Still feels terrible compared to a DCT, but 100% better than it was. The transmission feels quite good. It does. Still auto shifts for you in manual mode. Alright, so I've just gone back, and I did actually film an outro just before, but I did a little bit more driving after that last outro, which you may see or you may not. I think my honest takeaway from it is it's very close to XHP. For normal driving, I'm talking about normal driving. It is better how XHP properly locks out the gears, where this will auto shift for me. Even if I'm in manual mode, if I hit 7,000, it shifts. Maybe that's not a problem. I don't know. D mode is probably a little bit too quick to go through the gears than what I would like, but it's not terrible. In fact, if you're not paying attention, you don't really notice that it's in 6th gear. It doesn't labour the car up. I don't really feel anything weird when it does it, but it just seems strange that I'm in 6th gear at 61, 62 kilometers an hour. On power, it shifts pretty good. Definitely not as quick as XHP Stage 3, but I think this may be also being caused by this gearbox's condition. So this car's done 195,000 Ks, and although we have done one transmission flush since we've had the car, it's still got the original pan on it. So we really need to do a full service on it, replace the O-rings, replace the bridge seal, and probably give it a solenoid change as well. When I put XHP on my 17T car back in 2019, it still didn't shift very quickly. I don't think it's probably pretty similar to this, maybe, it's hard to remember. But my car actually did need solenoid, so I'm thinking this may improve with another transmission fluid flush, get some better fluid in there, get some good shift solenoids in there, and these shift speeds at higher RPMs might increase as well. But all in all, I think as a driving experience, there's not a huge difference between XHP and the Alpina Flash. There is, however, going to be a difference if you're running big power. If you've got a big power car over 500 wheel horsepower, I think you're going to need XHP. XHP increase the line pressure on the shifts, which is why they snap on high power cars and you don't get slip. Sort of 4 or 5 years ago, everyone was battling with transmission slips on 4th to 5th gear changes, and XHP pretty much fixed that with the autos. Where I don't think the Alpina Flash does. The Alpina Flash does not increase line pressure. So, to summarise, if you're a lightly tuned vehicle, like MHD, Stage 2, no ethanol, I reckon you're going to get away with the Alpina Flash and you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be fine. You don't need to spend the money on XHP. But if you're running some ethanol mixes, E50 for example, or if you've got hybrid turbos, XHP is probably going to shine in the value area. I think it's just going to handle the power a lot better than the Alpina Flash does. But we'll see how we go. This car will have a lot of power. It's going to need XHP at some point, I'm sure. But I might document giving the transmission a service in the next week or two. It's something that we should have done by now. It's just everything gets pushed aside. So we'll maybe do a shift solenoid change in the next week or two, a full transmission flush, and we'll see how the gearbox reacts. But yeah, I quite like it. I love having the numbered gear display. It's worth it just for that. All right, guys, I'm going to end off. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Have another little merge onto the highway. That's sports mode. Bit better that time. Okay, it's nailing the shifts. It must be adapting.